Hey guys, Patriot back with you again tonight. I'm excited to do this review. This is going to be of the Diamondback DB380 from Diamondback Firearms. It comes in this little black case here, and here's the label on it. I did cover up my serial number. This is the price. That was the retail price. I did not pay that. Actually, nothing even close to that. But I'll get back to price later. Let's just go ahead and open it up and we'll get going here. This is how the pistol comes inside the case. It does have some paperwork. I think I left it out in the living room. No big deal there. Comes with a little trigger lock device, or at least that's what I think it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I haven't even looked at it. I haven't read the instructions yet. I usually those just end up back in the box. And it comes with a master lock, I guess, to lock this case. Okay, whatever. So basically what's going to be useful to me is the firearm itself and the magazine. That's about it. And the case, I'll use that for occasional transport. Diamondback Firearms, Cocoa, Florida is where it's actually produced. I'll go ahead and drop the magazine here. You can see I've already cleared this gun, but we'll do it for camera's sake. It's got a pretty stout recoil spring built into the slide. To me it feels just a little bit heavier than the Ruger LCP. Now let me start off by saying that I actually have a lot more experience with the Ruger LCP. I think that that's a fantastic gun, by the way, and I've got a lot of rounds downrange in the Ruger LCP. I originally shot that about a year and a half ago when they were fairly new, and I put 175 rounds through it my first time, and then over the past year and a half I've had a chance to shoot various LCPs, not just a single example. Maybe, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 different LCPs, and never have I had a single failure to feed or extract or eject with the LCP. Furthermore, with the Ruger LCP, it's a very accurate pistol. When I fire that pistol, I'm astounded by the accuracy. At 21 feet, I can often put them very close together, if not through the same hole, and not just, you know, a couple rounds, but almost the entire magazine, if I really take my time and concentrate. So I've had a great track record with the LCP. I still think it's a great gun, and anyone interested in that firearm should not hesitate to purchase it. It does cost less than this gun. The MSRP on this one is about $430, whereas the MSRP on the other one I think is $329 for the standard black version, so roughly $100 difference. Is there $100 difference between this gun and the other one? I will say that if I did have to pay full retail for this gun, I would have gone with the Ruger LCP. I just don't think that there's $100 worth of difference between the two. The main difference for me in actually firing the gun is that I have a lot more surface area on the back of the grip here. And this radius up here that goes up into the web of your hand, or the back strap, is a lot sharper of a radius than the LCP, which has a longer curved radius that's really hard to get high up on the pistol. On this one I can actually get the web of my hand up there nice and high, just the way that it should be, and I don't have any clearance issues there. I've never hit my skin or anything like that. But so far nothing pinched my hands, no slide stoppages caused by my thumbs or grip or anything like that. So you'll see on video that we did have one failure to eject. So far that has been the only problem, and again, this is in the first 100 rounds out of the box, and we did not clean the gun, lubricate it, or anything. Now I just cleaned it for the video, just so I'd have a nice clean gun. I did have 100 rounds through it. I figured, what the heck, I'll clean it up and run a bore snake down the barrel. And since we were talking about the Ruger, I will mention this is a striker fire gun, not a hammered fire gun. I did notice that the trigger pull is fairly long. It's stated as a ½ an inch, and from what I can see, that's just about right. If I cock this gun, it does have a long pull, and it breaks real close to the frame back here. But in firing, it hasn't prevented too much of a problem, and typically trigger problems or trigger pull problems will reveal themselves downrange very quickly, and as you'll see, none of us had problem firing this pistol accurately at 21 feet. So I'm very impressed with this little gun. I think that the slide serrations are superior on this pistol to the LCPs. These kind of remind me of the Smith & Wesson M&P serrations, whereas they're directional and they're slippery if you go forward, but they are very grabby if you go backwards. And being that the spring is as heavy as it is, it's amazing that I can just pinch this with 2 fingers and run this back all the way. So kudos to Diamondback for the slide serrations. Those were very well thought out. That's a big thing for me, especially in a small gun like this. Just to kind of round out the pistol, it's a 6-round magazine, and the rounds are counted right there. Steel magazine, plastic floor plate. Gives you just a little bit extra up here at the front to get that full finger on. To me, I have no trouble firing with 2 fingers on the gun. This pinky just rests right underneath it, and I'm perfectly happy like that. Diamondback does offer 2 different magazines, one with a flat base like this and the other with a finger extension. I will be getting a couple of spare magazines for this gun, but not one with a finger extension. I just don't need it, and I don't want the extra length there. Even though you're only talking half an inch or so, I just don't need the extra length. The barrel material is 4140 steel, and so is the slide, 4140 as well. Glass reinforced polymer lower, or grip. Again, this is a striker fire gun with double action pull of about 5 pounds of force and a pull length, a trigger pull length of half an inch. And before I forget, Diamondback Firearms, if you're listening to this, please start shipping your guns with a spare magazine. You know, your competition shipping guns with spare magazines, and I'm not sure if you just ran into a supply issue or some other factor, but you know, when you're paying $430 retail on a gun this size, I really think that you should include a spare magazine. I don't think that that's too much to ask. This lock is hokey. I think that you have to, by law, do that. That's fine, do that, but give us some accessories with this thing. Give us an extra magazine, give us a shell holder, something. I'm going to stick that in there, dump the lock, get rid of the trigger lock. I'll never use it. Now, I did mention that I fired this gun, not this particular one, but I fired a Diamondback actually the same day that I purchased one. And I fired this gun at 21 feet, not this exact gun, but I fired a Diamondback at 21 feet, and I put 4 of the 6 rounds through one ragged hole, just standing offhand with it. That sold me on the gun. I was concerned that somehow this wouldn't be as accurate as the LCP, and it proved to be just as accurate, if not more accurate. So I'm very pleased with that. The other thing that I was impressed with was the gun that I fired went exactly where the front sight blade was held. Just perfectly, just exactly how I want a gun to shoot. So I was very impressed. This gun, not quite so lucky. This was my aiming point with this particular gun, and I went left and low. Low about 1 inch, left about 1 3/4 to 2 inches. This was my first group. Actually, that was my second group. I knew right away that I'm going to have to make adjustments on the sight, which I have done. As you might be able to tell, I went ahead and drifted this sight off to the right side of the gun, and where I have this set right now, the gun's shooting perfectly straight. Now, one nice option about the Diamondback is that it is dovetailed in back, so you can replace the sight if you had to by ordering a new one through Diamondback Firearms. Hopefully someday we'll see some tritium sights for this. That would really be the cat's meow right there. But I did have to move this off to the right. But to take care of the gun shooting low in front, I actually had to file down the front sight. It's usually more peaked than that, and now you can see a flat spot on top. That's the distance I had to take it down in order to get this shooting where I wanted it to. At the very top here, you might be able to see kind of a shade change there, and that's where I filed it down. Now the way that I did that, I just put a little bit of masking tape over the backside, laid a piece of sandpaper down, used some 220 grit, and with the front sight on the sandpaper, I just rocked this back and forth. So that way I had a nice square grinding on the front sight. Now I only had to do it one time, and it was just an educated guess basically. And here's where I'm shooting now. At 21 feet, holding the front sight right where the top of my thumb is. So as you can see, it adjusted in very nicely.